You're watching Business Morning. Today we're focusing on the aviation sector and the recent developments in that particular sector. That's talking about the airfares of some foreign carriers charge Nigerian customers. The House Committee on Aviation, of course, in the last couple of weeks has been blowing hot over the airfare disparity, as it's been called. So those are some of the issues we'll be looking at this morning. Joining me now is Gabriel Olowo. He's an aviation economist, and this is some of the issues that we'll be talking about. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for being here. I'm sure you're very much aware of the latest developments. That's talking about the airfare disparity issue that's still ongoing. We understand that there's still a 30-day ultimatum for some airfare carriers, international carriers, to reduce the airfares, particularly the business class and first class, all face stiff sanctions. Give us your thoughts on that.
Thank you for the opportunity, Esther. My reflection on this is, why is Nigeria killing mosquito with a sledgehammer? Talking about airfares, the airlines, the foreign airlines in this country, are they diplomats? No. Are they relief agencies, international relief agencies? No. What are they? Traders. They're in Nigeria to trade. And if you are somebody who consumes gari, and you want to buy Ifo gari, or you want to buy Ijebu gari, or the yellow gari, I've never seen where you're going to force the price and say, okay, yellow gari, the price has to be the same as the Ijebu gari or the Ifo gari. All right? Addressing the issue of airfares, all we need to do simply, one, our concern as a nation is to retain some of the wealth that the foreign airlines are making in Nigeria. Number one question, why British Airways? Why not Air France? Why not Lufthansa? Why not KLM?
Well, I'm sure that the House Committee, the members, have looked through all
That's
the other
number one
numbers
question.
And decided that
number
this
two
were
question,
the highest.
Esther, number two question is, if these fares are high, what drives down the price all over the world? Supply. Let's increase supplies. How do we increase supply? Nigerian Airlines. Nigerian Airlines should drop capacity into the market. When you drop capacity into the market, fares will come down. All right? If you don't drop capacity into the market, you can never force any tariff down. It's not by coercion. And if you want to look at the law, I have been in this sector for about four decades now. The law on tariffs in Nigeria, tariff has been deregulated.
Okay, so
even during the military regime.
The argument of the foreign carriers that airfare pricing is simply a matter of demand and supply.
Is demand and supply simple. And where I'm going is this. If Nigeria is interested in retaining part of the wealth, we have to copy the emerging markets in the East. In Emirates, United Arab Emirates, in India, no trader does a business directly in that country. You must run through a local. So if an airline, for instance, you want to operate, the British is operating to Nigeria as an international company. So let's go to the registration of this foreign airline and say, all right, you can only operate in this economy when you run through a local, e.g., through a travel agent. So if all the trade you make in the economy is repatriated to your country, a percentage will be retained in the economy through the local travel agent. You cannot operate into Dubai, for instance, as an airline. You run through a local travel agent. Therefore, a percentage of the wealth is retained in the economy. The same with India. So all the airlines that are here, let's revisit. This is what Congress should do. Registration of international businesses here. We want part of the wealth. That is our concern. It's not by addressing tariffs. If you want to address tariff, I have some data here. I will show you.
But before we go into that, in terms of, you said retaining some of the wealth, value-added tax, that's also that's something that also can retain a part of the wealth.
On international travel, there is no VAT. VAT is only charged on domestic travel. There's no VAT. What we charge on international travel now is passenger service charge, the one that goes to the airport authorities, the sales tax that goes to the government, the CAA. Of course, there is the so-called fuel charge that is on the ticket. At the end of the day, the airlines look at what they collect, and it's like 50% are taxes. So they want to, don't forget that these airlines you're talking about here, they have three very good things going for them. One, safety records. Very high safety records. Two, schedule integrity. How many times have you gone to our airport and you want to take the local airlines and the schedule is not reliable? Three, competitive advantage. All over the world, they have global competition skill. Our people don't have all these skills. And so for you to have these three vital kind of capacity, it costs a lot of money.
Well, that if it costs a lot of money, our local to our own airlines, they have like you said, they're coming from years of experience, and some of them are as old as 70. Some of them have been in this country running the business here in this country for over 60 years.
Beautiful.
So of course, they have an advantage.
And we need them. We need them also. What has happened to our own local airlines? What happened? Why are we not there? Why don't we look? I remember a Nigerian airline struggled and began to fly to London and brought the fare down to $500 and brought the pieces of baggage down to 3 pieces. All right? During that time, that airline was not allowed to fly the flag of Nigeria. The airline was flying the flag of Sierra Leone. How many Nigerians flew the first class on that aeroplane? All right? So what we need to do as a country is to try and shore up our own capacity. All right? We cannot continue to trade our woes on the military or on the British that ruled us. We must put our blames on ourselves.
Gabriel, sorry to butt in here. Let's still go back to the issue of pricing. Now, of course, you said it's basically the issue of demand and supply. In terms of tariffs, yeah, these companies or these airlines have the right to, with the bilateral air service agreement and all of that. But of course, the issue of regulation still comes in. If the lawmakers or the government policymakers of a particular country feel that their citizens are being taken advantage of, in this case, this airfare disparity, and they look around the industry, they look through the prices of other international air carriers, and then they feel or they spot a couple who they feel may be unfairly so charging, as it were. Let's look at some of the numbers. Now, perhaps maybe it's the difference in airfares. Like I'm sure you have some of the numbers there also, what the lawmakers brought to the fore, what has been used as examples, right before when all of this started. The first class is the argument between surrounding the first class and the business class. First class, Lagos to London return as high as $10,816. The same Abuja London route, a little slightly lower, $10,144. But for the first class return ticket, the Accra London routes, 4,700 and $708.98. So they may not know the nitty-gritty of what it all takes, how all of this is arrived at. But at first glance, when you see that the gap is, you would agree with me that the gap is quite significant.
Thank you. My sympathy goes to our people in Congress. And for those of us who are near those people in government, we should take the pain to give them professional information and advice. I tried to put some data together here. And British Airways as a case study, not guinea pig, case study. British Airways to London, from Lagos, and from Accra. I have it in here. It's a shame you can't put it on the screen. There are 15 classes inside that aeroplane, 15 classes. So what some of the information the Congress had is not comparing apple with apple. You're comparing apple with orange, apple with mango. They have November class, which is number 1. From Nigeria, November class is lower than the levels of Ghana. Sugar class is lower than the level of Ghana. Victor class is lower than the level of Ghana. That is from Nigeria, from my data here. And this is authentic because I carry inventory of 400 airlines. And so I can talk about all this. The airlines may not by law be able to talk. All right? If you now go higher to the higher classes, you see that some of the higher classes from Nigeria are higher. Why? Nigeria is a different market from Ghana. The purchasing capacity is different. And Nigeria is known for prodigal spending. So there's this thing you call psychological pricing in marketing. If I know that you have the money, of course, I'll take it from you because I'm a trader.
Also, if I'm a spendthrift, that gives you the right
if you want to spend it, yes, I'm not over surcharging you. If I can take all the money in your pocket because you can afford it, that's what I call prodigal spending.
So is that what's playing out here with the first class and business class?
Psychological pricing. From London to Lagos, do you know the tariff is not the same? From London to Lagos, all the tariffs in all classes are lower for Nigeria than Ghana, all classes. Meaning that the buying nature, the buying style of people who live in the UK is different from the buying nature of Nigerians who buy from here. All the tariffs, including business class and first class, from London to Lagos is lower than the levels of Ghana. How come that the business class and first class in Nigeria is higher? It is because of our prodigal spending. And who are the people flying all these classes? Let me tell you, 2011 traffic data shows that 1 million Nigerians in a year fly international flights. 1 million Nigerians. Out of that 1 million, who are the people in business class? Is it you and me? They're the people, CEOs, people in Congress, government, and all the rest of it. So if you can afford it, I'll take the money. That's why I'm saying, if the local agencies, if they route these businesses through the local agencies will retain part of the wealth.
Why do you think that hasn't been done?
That's what we should sit down to do. This is what Congress should think about. How can I retain part of the wealth that the traders are making? That should be the issue. We shouldn't go to international conferences and people ask us, don't you have professionals in that market to talk about pricing issues? Pricing of tariff. Let me tell you, in 1994, I was operating a domestic airline. We were flying Lagos Abuja for 2,200 nairas. And that is $100 in 1994. This is about 18 years now. Our airlines are still flying Lagos Abuja for, is it 16,000?
They're about.
We should therefore sit and say, you airlines can never survive because you are not charging economic tariffs. I was the executive director of that airline in 1994. 2,200, which is $100. 18 years after, it's still $100 to Abuja. Esther, there is no way a Nigerian airline can survive that way. If you must have good safety records, safety, scheduled reliability, you have to charge economic tariff. And world over, the sensible airlines are managing the capacity inside the aeroplane. That aeroplane, from A to Z, you can have 20 fares. You want to manage what you call load factor, and you want to manage the yield. The yield that Mr. Olowo brings to me will not be the same as the one that Esther brings to table. So I'm going to mix all those yields together and have a profitable operation. All right? You don't want aircraft to begin to drop here. When we were doing that operation via Freetown to London, how many Nigerians flew my business class? All right? So the solution to all this debate is not to begin to talk as if we are in the 16th century, 17th century, talking about we will sanction you. If the law of Nigeria is saying tariff is deregulated, let tariff be driven by market forces. If you don't fly the business classes and first class of British Airways, of Air France, of Lufthansa, and you have the Nigerian airlines that have the business classes and the first class, and you fly those airlines, these airlines will drop the price. It's simple common sense. Military will not sanction tariff pricing issues. How come that democracy wants to sanction an airline on tariff issues?
Okay, how do you see this all playing out? Because there's obviously the aviation ministry, the lawmakers, and even the British government. Both sides have held, their sides, adamant on their positions.
I think it's very positive that we're talking politically, but politics and economics, they must go together. All right. If an airline continues to fly a red route, it will pack up, and that is why all our airlines are packing up. And rather than facing the reasons and the issues why our airlines are packing up and make sure they are not packing up, we need 4 strong Nigerian airlines. And it's so painful that I read, is it on Sunday, somebody was saying APCON has taken Arik. Arik came on Monday and said it's not positive. Now, when such news begin to come out, there is an element of truth. How can an Arik has the problem so soon? The thinking of Congress now is, let's develop our airlines. Let Nigerian airlines, let's have 3-4 Nigerian airlines. Intervention fund, packaged by CBN, was doled out to service debt. No. It should be doled out to help the airlines hedge on fuel. All right? If that money comes, this money for you, will pay it to Total. You will fuel your aircraft for 1 year. Now your airline begins to fly. You are not thinking about that 40 to 60% cost of the business is fuel.
Okay, so obviously you're referring to the policies in the aviation sector.
We need to review all the policies, and those policies must be directed towards strong Nigerian airlines. Strong Nigerian airlines that will put safety first. I've indicted the tariff that they are charging, the one we were charging 18 years ago. Don't say, going by air is going to be too expensive. Yes, it is not mass transit. Aviation is not mass transit. The cost of aircraft Airbus is not a bus. It is air. So we cannot be playing child's play with aviation. If it is expensive, let's do less of travel, because travel must be safe. And for it to be safe, economic tariff is very vital.
So, looking at the future of the industry, what are your thoughts? What are you optimistic? Well, you haven't sounded too optimistic about it. So, what immediate changes would you like to see?
Mr. President, right away to put stakeholders forum together. Stakeholders forum. We've done very good one during President Obasanjo's regime, and the airlines had what we always call is it something framework, and we had a positive framework. We have plenty of airlines in the place. Minus the airline now, let's reflect on the airports. Let's reflect on how to go forward. Let's have a blueprint that will not be changing from regime to regime. We'll now continue. Look, the airlines are so weak now. Why are they weak? Before, we never had so many airlines. Now we have so many airlines. They're so weak, they can't compete. You have 3-4 aeroplanes, and once 1 or 2 goes on maintenance, schedule is disrupted. Okay? And safety, thank God we're safe so far. You don't want to see a situation when airplanes now begins to drop again.
Well, let's talk about airport infrastructure. Of course, we can easily describe an airport as a face of any country, especially the international airport. You come in, and that's the first impression you get about that particular country. What are your thoughts on the present state of infrastructure? Are we... Okay.
The airports in Nigeria, simply shameful. Simply shameful.
But there have been, because I have personally seen some changes. I've been to the airports in the last couple of weeks.
Simply shameful. As an operator for almost 40 years now, simply shameful. There is no remodeling we can do that will bring us that airport of 1978 to its full complement.
The MM2 was...
MMA1 was a 1978 airport with beautiful car parks on the ground. The refurbishing or the remodeling, is it taking care of that underground car park? No, never. Armed robbers are chasing people away from that place. The car park in front of that beautiful airport was contracted to somebody to build an hotel or something. They call it Ground Zero. It's still Ground Zero till now. So if you remove it till tomorrow, how about the car parks in that environment?
Okay, now
you're talking about 18 years now. What is the growth?
Now we know that in terms of infrastructure development, time and time again it's been proven that not just governments, even here in Nigeria, governments across the world can't do without private sector involvement. We've seen that with a couple of infrastructure roads. We had the Bicotny. Now for the airport concessioning, we had Mavis. Of course, that has all gone wrong. So what is the problem?
Problem is roadmap again. roadmap for airports. We've done the roadmap for airlines during Obasanjo. We must progress. Roadmap for airport is needed right now. Policy statement, or if possible, law. What do we want to do? Is it Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria as we have it, a government monopoly? My answer is capital no. If we can shut down Federal Airport Authority yesterday, so be it. Because it has not worked and it won't work. Every effort of every new chief executive is new. And somebody brings a very beautiful idea, and within 2, 3, 4 years, the guy is gone. So, our airport, we were talking about PPP. We had the PPP with MMA2. They are out of the court every day. Now, we have
Mr. Gabriel, I'm sorry to cut it short. We're actually completely out of time now. But definitely we would bring you back. It's definitely not. It doesn't end here. It's a developing story. I will definitely have you back. Well, thank you so much for your contribution, for being part of the program.
Pleasure.
I have been talking to Gabriel Olowo. He's an aviation economist, and we have been looking at the aviation sector, particularly the recent developments, talking about the disparity in airfares of some foreign airline carriers, and where policymakers, the Senate Committee on Aviation, has said that they must bring down their fares. We'll take another break now. We're still focusing on the aviation sector, and I'll be joined by Mohammed Turker. He's the Secretary General Airline Operators of Nigeria. This time we'll be focusing on the public-private partnership, talking about developing infrastructure in the aviation sector. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Business Morning. We're staying with the aviation sector, and I'm being joined now by Mohammed Turker. He's the Assistant Secretary General, Airline Operators of Nigeria. This time we're looking at airport infrastructure. We're looking at a private-public partnership that's in terms of maintaining infrastructure for some of the infrastructure built by the federal government. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. Now, I had another guest just before he came in, Gabriel Olowo. Just before he left, we were talking about the face of the country. We're talking about the airport infrastructure, maintaining this issue of sustainability, the issue of course, we know the government can't do it alone, and so the issue of concession is coming in to help ease operations in airports, as it were. But give us your own thoughts on this, where in terms of public-private partnership in the aviation sector, managing infrastructure, how that has helped, if it has in any way, the Nigerian example.
Well, you see, if you look at the whole arrangement that everywhere in the world, government has no business into business. especially when it has come to the airport. If you go anywhere in the world, you see a lot of development, and when you check, you find out that it was build and operate and transfer or another private organization that are building all those airports. I think the PPP is in the right direction, but unfortunately, some people, especially within the government agencies, they are frustrating the airport. Do you understand? Because they don't want to let it go. So that's why we're having the problem we're having. But if you are talking about development, development of the airport, I think the earlier the better, all the airport giving out to the private partnership, pre-hand to develop.
Now, it's rather puzzling because, like you said, of course, the ultimate goal of the public-private partnership as concerns the aviation sector, of course, develop the airport infrastructure facilities, making the traveling, an enjoyable experience for not just our own travelers, international travelers coming into the country. So if at the end of the day, the PPP is meant to help develop the airports, ultimately, why would, and that's what everybody wants, that's everybody's interest at the end of the day, why would some people want to sabotage it? Well,
because of what they are getting out of it. It has to do with the corruption, frankly speaking. Because if you look at all the concessionaires in this country, most of the time you see somebody will come and they will, after signing, they didn't come by themselves to just say, okay, I want to take over this place and can you give me? No, they advertise it because of the policy of the government. So the same ministry people, the agency are going against the policy of the government. I'll give you an example. Just recently that we had that Minister of Aviation are talking about another national carrier. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this is one of the things. They always go against the policy of the government. Because I don't know whether they need professional advisors. And we have a lot of people there in that particular industry, especially in the Ministry of Aviation and the Federal Airport Authority, and they know very well. But there are some people there. They don't want to allow anything to move. When you look at the whole thing, you find out that okay, now I heard the last guest is talking about every day going to court. Yes, because you have bring somebody, you sign a contract, but after some 2-3 years, and you are trying to bring in another person. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, why would that be possible in the first place? If I understand that both parties at the beginning, when things were good, sat down, there were papers signed, there were perhaps lawyers, present,
exactly.
And the terms of engagement were clearly spelled out. And I'm sure there would have been a clause whereby if one party is aggrieved or is not satisfied with it, services being provided, there should be a clause for an exit based on at a point or at the point where one party could take an exit that would be still binding or rather legally possible to do so, as it were. Let me not get too tangled up in legal issues, but I want to believe that the terms of engagement were clearly spelled out and that the door of exit was left open with a clause.
Exactly.
So, but why does it all go wrong?
That's what I say, because of the corruption. Because if you are coming in and you are not going to play ball, and you are not going to do it the way they want you to do it, definitely the next thing they will kick you out. I hope you understand. That's why most of them, they go to court. And there is no respect even for the court order. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So that's the truth. So what we are looking now is government need to have, we need to have a stakeholder meeting whereby we need to discuss this. Whether, as the previous guest said, that whether they want us to move the industry forward, do you understand? Or we should forget about it. Because really, the way they are conducting themselves, they are destroying the industry and they don't know what they are doing.
Okay, let's talk about, let's talk about what are your thoughts? What's the present state of the airport infrastructure, the international, okay, let's take the international airport as it were. What's the present state of infrastructure there in terms of all the general infrastructure and services being provided? Are they checking in, checking out as it were, all the other logistics?
Nothing to write about. Nothing to write about. Take Abuja International Airport today. There is a renovation going on, a part of the local wing of the terminal.
I've seen that.
So if you come into the arrival, or you are going out, you see the kind of marbles that they put in. The marbles removed, it is a granite, 3-inch. You cannot see that kind of marble anywhere in the world in the airport. I hope you understand. That marbles can kill somebody by the time you sleep over. I hope you understand. So the kind of marble that is supposed, I'm not a constructor, but we travel all over the world. And even the NCAA are aware of this. So how can you allow a contractor to come and put that kind of marbles? The danger is, if anybody fall and get injured, he will sue the federal government and sue the Federal Airport Authority. So I don't know whether the Minister of Aviation is aware of all this.
Speaking about the Minister of Aviation, because this part is, you're not operating in isolation. You have an authority. You're under a particular authority. Right. Haven't these issues been tabled to the authority, as it were? Well,
we are surprised. For example, if there is a renovation going on, you come to MM2, for example, I mean, that GAT, then if there is a contract, you're supposed to see a signboard. Even if you are not educated, at least there is a signboard to see who are the engineers, who are the company, this, that. Do you understand? You won't see that kind of a thing. You only see a construction going on, putting a plaster, doing paint at the same time. And for God's sake, it was a human being that are going to be there. Why is the rush? Why can't somebody put in thing in order to do it right? Do you understand what I'm saying? But the issue here that we are talking about the safety of the passenger, the safety of the people. Then what Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is doing on that? Or the Federal Airport Authority, they have an engineer, who is in charge of all this kind of, what are they doing? Are they just sitting down, somebody to say, oh, this constructor, he is from the Minister of Aviation, then let's just give him to, or the regional manager cannot even sit down to say this is not what he's supposed to be. Everybody keep quiet. Nobody is talking. Nobody can advise to tell them that this is the way to be done.
Okay, so what are the airline operators, what are you people doing?
We are waiting for the meeting to be held with Mr. President. That is a stakeholder meeting that Mr. President inviting us, but they have not picked the date yet. So we are putting things together, and if you have opportunity and have that kind of discussion, definitely we are going to table all this issue. Can we
see everybody coming to a midpoint or a meeting point where, create a win-win situation? We're talking about international airport here, or even some of the local airports. No, this is not, it's not child's play. It's something that has to be resolved.
Exactly. So we wanted to see if by the time we meet with Mr. President, since the current minister and the rest are not listening, do you understand what I'm saying? And so many things are going wrong, and we start asking ourselves whether the lawmaker are really being advised, or they have what they call aviation consultant who can give them the advice how to do things. Now, the worst part of it, you can hear that they are talking about airfare, they are talking about whatever, making passenger pay reliable and okay. Can you imagine now, even now the Air France themselves, when they are flying out of Charles de Gaulle International Airport, they will combine their flight with Port Harcourt passenger, come to Lagos, park in Lagos, later take off to Port Harcourt, pick up the passenger from Port Harcourt, come back to Lagos.
Existing
so
laws all this,
they are not supposed to.
Aren't there existing laws?
Yes, there is. Personally, I know I have taken my phone and I called the DGCA and I spoke to him. I said, why all this? Do you understand? And which he promised, he said they are going to do something about it. They have to stop it, because you can't make our Nigerians to be on transit in their own country.
But would you say generally, okay, in terms of, I'm sure you've been to other international airports, in terms of infrastructure development, as compared to, are we there in terms of international best, standards or practices, as it were?
Let me tell you, we don't have an airport. Go and travel, come out. I
have been to the international airports in recent times. It wasn't all bad. In fairness, it wasn't all bad. Well, I haven't been to too many international airports across the globe, but like I said, there's some construction work going on. I've been to the MM2. Yeah, they still have some issues, but obviously we're not there yet. But I don't want us to paint a picture where that it's all bad. It's certainly not all bad. Of course, there's still room for improvement.
No, what I'm saying now, why I say that we are not. We have nothing to write about. For example, if you go anywhere, you are talking about traveling out. If you go anywhere, if there is any development on the airport, you won't even see what is going on in that side. And the AC will work, everything will work. Do you want to go to Murtala Mohammed International Airport today? Travel. I have a guest who just come just recently. The daughter have to start removing their clothes and so on and so. I just come back from London through Paris, and when I come back the next day, I travel to Ghana, and I come back. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say here, we need to do more. more than that. Not only because we are, renovating the airport, then we leave everything look stupid. I have to take my phone personally to call the MD fan and to speak to him concerning what I saw. By the time I come, I want to check in that nothing there because of the crisis with Mavis. You don't need to do that. Do you understand? Even if you want to make a change, at least you should make, you should allow them as you are doing your construction and so on and so. So what I'm saying, I have seen a bag of cement. I see a sun there somewhere. All the white men checking it, they are laughing at us. The place is just look like a mad place. Do you understand what I'm saying?
This stakeholders meeting, are you optimistic that the issues will be resolved or can be resolved?
Well, I believe that the only hope that we have is maybe if we meet with the Mr. President. Do you understand? If we meet with Mr. President, maybe the National Assembly, I'm talking about the Senate, then organize some certain stakeholder meeting where we can sit down and discuss this issue so that we have a roadmap. Do you understand? Then we can be able to put it together. Okay,
thank you so much, Mohammed Turker. We have to leave it there at this time. Thank you so much for being here on the program. I have been talking to Mohammed Turker, the Assistant Secretary General of the Airline Operators of Nigeria, and this time we will focus in on the airport infrastructure, particularly the international airport, talking about the issues of concessionaires, those handling the, of course, the airport infrastructure. We'll take another quick break now. We'll be back with the rest of the program. Please join us again.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Business Morning, where we just get some reports that trading at the Nigerian Stock Exchange has been stalled for now. There's some technical issues currently going on, but we understand that that's been attended to, so we can't hook up with David Andorin, stockbroker from the exchange, to give us some early trading numbers. Well, it's the first trading day, or will be the first trading day for the Nigerian bourse after the Easter holidays, and hopefully we would see some green numbers when we report them for you later on in the day. Of course, today the race for the World Bank presidency continues. The second candidate, Mr. Jose Antonio Campo, will face a panel of interviewers today at the World Bank headquarters in the U.S. state of Washington, D.C. Our own Finance Minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, had her turn. She was the first to face the panel yesterday, and she said that her vision will center around jobs creation. Well, we're all hoping that it will be a merit-based selection process. Support is still being drummed up for the Nigerian Finance Minister. She will be the first woman, the first African, and the first candidate from the emerging and developing nations to run for the post of World Bank presidency. It's also the first time that the U.S. will be challenged after holding it for over 60 years since it was founded after the World War II. It's still a developing story, and we'll continue to track it here for you on Business Morning. On that note, we'll draw a curtain on today's edition of the show. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Channels News Track is at the top of the hour. I'm Esther Budaga. Bye for now.